So the Arknights anime is coming out pretty soon, and I've only recently started playing the game, so I thought it might be helpful to give a new player's perspective on whether or not you should bother with playing Arknights in 2022. And the short answer for me is yes, just try it, it's free to play. For a TLDR, if you want a summary of my points, basically, click the link in the description and skip to the summary. If you want a more in-depth analysis, then stick with me and I'll explain my points in more detail. But if you just want a quick TLDR answer, then yes, give it a try. Please subscribe and like the video if you find this helpful. I really need the money to buy more character roles. So, on with the video. If you're looking for this video, I suspect you have a vague idea of what the game is about already. So, it's a tower defense gacha game, and it has all of the suspected features that entails. So the character artworks, they're absolutely gorgeous. There's a huge amount of character variety, viable strategies, and loads of alternate costumes for your favorite characters. So from a sort of cosmetic standpoint or a visual standpoint, the game is brilliant. It has a ton of content. It's been out for almost 3 years, so it has a lengthy campaign and tons of side stories and events that have come out over the years. I've only been playing for a few weeks, but since this is a new player's perspective, I'm happy to give my opinions. I'm just finishing up Chapter 2, and so far the story is passable, I would say. I'm told it gets much better later on in terms of how interesting it is, but even early on it's obvious that they've put a lot of effort into, the set pieces, the backgrounds, the music, the dialogue, the voice acting, where it is present. It's not always present in the story cutscenes, but the characters actually in-game on the map do have voice acting, and there are loads of famous voice actors who are giving the voices for these characters. So on the sort of visual and auditory side of the game, it's amazing. It's really well polished, and if you're a fan of just buying characters to look at and to appreciate their artwork and their voice acting, then this game is really good for that. But with all gacha games, I suppose the ultimate question that most people have is the monetization fair for someone who either wants to play free to play or wants to spend a little bit of money every now and then? And in my opinion, yes, the monetization for Arknights is fair. All of the content that I've encountered so far is beatable with just the 3-star units that you're given during the story. I'm told that this continues to be the case later on as well, but I can't confirm that. You're also given plenty of 4-star and some 5-star units for free during the story, and you can get some from events, guaranteed 4 and 5 stars that are given to you just for completing those events. And the 4 and 5 and even 6-star units aren't necessarily stronger than the 3-star units in their base form, but they do come with a higher upgrade ceiling. So, if you're a 3-star, you cap out at Elite 1, which is sort of one upgrade level, and then if you're 4, 5, 6-star, you cap out at Elite 2, which is a whole upgrade level higher. So at the very highest level of content, you probably do need 4 and 5 and 6-star units, but by the time you get there, you'll have been able to get enough rolls to accumulate some of those without having to pay any money. But if you do want to progress with only your favorite 3-star characters, it's totally possible, at least for the vast majority of the campaign. So what if you do want to roll for new characters but you don't really want to spend any money? The game seems pretty fair here as well, to be honest. Every time you complete a new operation with 3 stars, which just involves you not letting any enemies get past your line sort of into your goal, you get 1 Originium, which can then be exchanged for 180 Arundum, and Arundum is the currency that you use to roll for new characters. So 1 roll costs 600 Arundum, and you can get roughly 1 gacha roll every sort of 3 to 4 operations, and those take usually somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes each. So early on, you can get 1 roll sort of every 15 minutes maybe. On top of this, you can get an extra 1,200 Arundum a week, from annihilation missions, which are always available and you can do them any time of the week, just up to a weekly cap. You can also get 100 a day from various daily missions and another 500 a week from weekly missions. There are also loads of just one-off objectives from, events, special maps, and all this sort of stuff that reward a random, so there's plenty of it to go around. There's also the game's recruitment mechanic, which lets you recruit random 1 to 5 star operators just by waiting. And the longer you wait, the higher quality the operator is likely to be. So all of this is just to say, if you want new units fairly regularly, then you won't struggle to get them. If you do want specific new units, though, well, it is a gacha game, so you know how it goes. You're probably going to have to spend a fair amount of money, and I think the pity timer in Arknights is pretty unforgiving. I think it's 100 rolls to get a guaranteed 6 star, so do with that information what you wish. So for that you'd have to either save up your weekly resources or pay money, basically. If you aren't targeting a specific operator, though, you should get some new units to try out pretty regularly. What if you just want to play your favorite units? For the most part, you can. You'll need a balance of different roles within your team, but all of the individual units are powerful in the right strategy. So, of course, some are just stronger than others. It's kind of unavoidable in a game that's been out for 3 years. You get some power creep. But there aren't any units that are just like totally terrible and unusable, such that it would be a waste of time to upgrade them. That isn't an issue. So if you want to use a specific character, then you should be able to build a strategy around them that uses them to their fullest potential, and that means that they're a perfectly viable unit to use. Another avenue that lots of gacha games use to monetize is like the time gating resource system that they all have. And in Arknights, they do have this system, and it's called sanity. So is it fair for a free-to-play player? And I would say, again, to me, it is. As you progress in the story, operations, the missions, they begin to cost more and more sanity to complete, but your maximum sanity also scales up as you level up. So it doesn't get completely out of control and out of whack. Operations do cost a certain amount of sanity to attempt, but if you fail, you get all of that sanity back. So you don't really lose anything for trying, and you're only rewarded if you actually manage to finish it. Also, if you keep continuously failing, each subsequent attempt loses 1 sanity, but 1 sanity regenerates every 6 minutes. So attempts are more or less free, so you can try as many times as you want until you succeed, basically. On top of this, whenever your account levels up, you get a free full sanity refill, and it works really generously. So say if you have a cap of 100 and you're at 80 sanity and then you level up, it won't full refill you to 100, it'll refill you to 180. So you can't, scam yourself out of resources by leveling up at the wrong time, which I think is great. You also get an additional 2 full sanity refills weekly from events, which you can choose to use whenever you want in the week. So you can actually play quite a lot without running out of sanity if you plan everything out properly. So if you're a casual player and you just want to play 1 or 2 hours a day, sanity totally won't be a problem for you. You can use your free refills on any days where you might want to play more, and otherwise you can just sort of do, a little bit of content each day. If you're a very hardcore player, then you probably will run out, but sanity does refill fairly quickly. As I said, it's 1 every 6 minutes, so 10 sanity an hour, and sort of the average high-level mission might cost 20 sanity to attempt, so that's sort of 2 hours worth of waiting for each new story mission. But because it refills so quickly, if you play sort of like once in the morning and then once later on in the day, you can have 2 full sanity bars to work with, and during that time you'll probably level up once, maybe twice, which gives you another full refill. So it really does give you plenty to work with in terms of using this sanity to build up resources. And once you complete any mission with a 3-star rating, you can use autoplay to recomplete the mission without you having to do anything. So you can just complete it without, having to interact in any way and then gather the resources at the end. So it's great for when you want to use your sanity to get resources, but you don't want to progress the story and you don't really want to actively play the game. You can just leave it on the side and interact sort of every 5 minutes or so while you're doing something else, and you still get resources for your suspending your sanity and you're still progressing. So I'm personally someone who does about maybe 1 hour of active play a day and then spends the rest of my sanity sort of idling stuff over the course of the day while I do something else. And the game works perfectly for that play style. The last thing to mention, which is another sort of thing that you can upkeep throughout the day, is there is a base building sort of mini game, which I won't go into in too much detail, but it's sort of like XCOM Lite. You can place your units in various facilities and you build out the base and to generate any resources that you need. So you can just put your units in, say, like a factory, and they'll generate these items that you can then sell for money, and it's all completely passive. And then you can invest back into it and sort of scale up the resources that you're getting passively through that avenue. And it's a really fun mini game to do just alongside everything else. So I think it's well worth investing your time into in the long run. So it's been all kind of positive so far, but there is one sort of big negative, I would say, which is that if you are a PC player, there's no dedicated PC client. So you have to run the game through an emulator. And I used the suggested one, which was the Nox player, which ran terribly on the default settings. If you're having trouble actually getting the game to even start, make sure your PC has virtualization enabled. You have to go into the BIOS and enable that. And then you have to change the settings on the emulator to use more than one core on your computer. And I'll leave a guide for how to do that down in the description. After that, it runs fairly well. I'd rather not have to use an emulator, obviously, but overall, it's a pretty minor complaint on an otherwise very good game. So, to summarize, pros. The art and music are amazing. There's tons of story content, which is passable early on and gets very good later on. There are loads of events and past content that you can catch up with. Monetization is really fair, so you're not going to have any problem progressing with just the 3-star units that are given to you during the story. The sanity system is very generous, in my opinion, and it's automatically refilled every time you gain a level, as well as getting 2 full refill items a week. So you can play quite a lot as a casual free-to-play player. Friends can loan you units if you're struggling with a specific mission, just to give you that little bit extra power to push you over the top. This one's a pro for some people, a con for others, but there's no competitive PvP, so you don't need to spend money to compete, and you don't need to feel like you need to rush to the end game to compete in the PvP side of the game. So you can go at whatever speed you like, and you'll have plenty of content to keep you busy over multiple weeks. The cons are that the performance of the PC emulator can be really bad if you don't have the correct settings, and you really need to look up a guide to do that. There is obviously this sanity system, so if you're a really hardcore player and you want to actively play more than 2 or 3 hours a day, then you will have to spend money to be able to do that. And finally, there is no competitive PvP, so if what you're looking for is a PvP experience, this game is not going to be for you. So, overall, is Arknights worth playing for a new player in 2022? I think it is. It's free, so you might as well give it a try. It's definitely one of the most fair gacha games that I've played, and the artwork, the soundtrack, and the voice acting is all just amazing. So give it a go, why not? If you made it this far into the video, then please subscribe and give the video a like. It gives me literal pennies. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and then maybe I can earn, a tiny little amount of money that I can then spend on more gacha stuff. So if you liked it, like and subscribe, please, please, please give me money, please, please. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you think I got anything totally wrong, or if things become much worse later on. I've only been playing for sort of a week and a half, 2 weeks, so maybe it all goes totally down the drain later on, but I don't know. the game definitely seems to be worth giving a try. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the game.